You're looking at President Jimmy Carter in a moment unlike any other captured in the modern presidency. Not behind a podium, not flanked by flags, but mid-bite, gripping a barbecue drumstick, seated at a GM-covered table on the south lawn of the White House. It's October 13th, 1977, and Carter is hosting a thank you barbecue for the people who got him there, the Peanut Brigade. That photo, taken by John Whitman for Washington Dossier, catches the president with his guard down and his appetite up. Around him are pumpkins, paper cups, wine glasses, old friends, and campaign loyalists. It looks more like a church picnic than a White House event. And that was the point. Carter's rise to power had been improbable. A peanut farmer from Plains, Georgia, running on honesty in the wake of Watergate. His campaign didn't have money, but it had people. The Peanut Brigade, a ragtag group of Georgians who rode buses into snowy New Hampshire and industrial Ohio, knocking on doors, sleeping in guest rooms, and making the case for a man most Americans had never heard of. They wore buttons with boiled peanuts on them and spoke from the heart. In an era of distrust and media spin, their sincerity was oxygen. And when Carter won, he didn't forget them. But what this photo doesn't show is the tension just beneath the surface. The Carter team didn't arrive in Washington to fit in. They were outsiders, and proudly so. They looked at the cocktail circuit of Georgetown with suspicion. They skipped parties, declined invites. Jody Powell, Hamilton Jordan, and Burt Lance referred to D.C. elites as phony, and they meant it. For much of that first year, the administration held Washington at arm's length. They brought their own people, their own style, their own rules. The South Lawn barbecue wasn't just a celebration. It was a statement. And in the middle of that cultural collision stood Gretchen Poston, Carter's quietly brilliant social secretary. A seasoned Washington hand with Southern roots, she was fluent in both languages, authenticity and protocol. She planned this barbecue with precision, not to flatter the Capitol, but to honor the Carter world. Long tables, no place cards, no silver, just chicken and connection. And yet she understood what was coming. In just a few weeks, she would produce the first major state dinner of the Carter presidency for French President Valéry Giscard d'Estaing. It would be her test: how to maintain the spirit of Plains in the spotlight of diplomacy. Outside the gates of the White House, another set of Carter allies was trying to ease that transition. Smith and Vicky Bagley had arrived in Washington around the same time. Smith, a wealthy fundraiser from the Reynolds family, and Vicky, stylish and plugged in, became unofficial ambassadors to Georgetown on Carter's behalf. They hosted dinners, translated Southern charm into Washington currency, and stood loyally behind embattled figures like Burt Lance when scandal brewed. While Carter's core team kept its distance from the city's old guard, the Bagleys helped build bridges, one quiet conversation, one gracious reception at a time. In this photo, Carter is caught between these worlds. His body is relaxed, but his eyes are alert. There's no speech in his hand, just sauce on his fingers. He's eating with the people who believed in him when no one else did. And yet, just beyond the frame, Washington is circling. The questions are beginning. The gears of the Capitol are turning. Even in this most grounded of moments, the presidency, with all its scrutiny and symbolism, is never far away. This is a portrait of a man still holding on to where he came from, even as the weight of where he is begins to press in. It's the last breath of campaign idealism before the machinery of power takes hold. And it's all there in the bite of a drumstick, in the laughter of old friends, and in the space between a picnic table and the West Wing.